Okay, sorry.
Are we on?
We are on. We are live.
Hey. Well, welcome back, everyone. Oh, uh, just in time for the palette cleaning routine, which I know is everyone's favourite part. I've kind of become a bit determined about this being part of the show, if there is a show. Ever since some American sent me an unsolicited message saying, "Get everything ready before you start." Well, he was trying to help a fellow YouTuber make their channel successful, which, as I've clearly indicated, I have no interest in whatsoever. This is a way of me archiving what I do, and yeah, I quite like it like that. And part of that archive is, I think, an important part of it is the whole process thing, the whole thing of how do I operate when I'm making things. Getting to know that is it's a big part of why I'm archiving stuff. But who knows? I might start to make videos that are actually watchable in some way one day. Yeah, so this sort of dithering beforehand. I've always said I'm not afraid of a blank canvas. It's not something that I find intimidating or daunting. But there is this whole sort of merry dance around starting a painting that I don't think is disconnected. Because similarly, I've never really felt like someone who gets nervous before they have to sort of go, play music. But if it's something like a tray with people sitting there and that kind of thing, I do get kind of hyperactive a bit, sort of like to jump up and down a bit, while I'm getting ready to go on. There's definitely something happening. So maybe I can't handle those, or the feel of the back canvas, and I re-characterise it as something else. So I go, hey, I get nervous at all, but I do have to sort of jump up and down or be fidgety. So one of the reasons I stopped trying to play music in seriousness is I became so annoying, I was even annoying myself, so God knows what must have been like. They're all very polite and tolerant. But you can only expect so much. Yeah. So this is perfectly clear enough for a palette. Lots of thinking about it. I think it's distracting yourself, telling yourself that whatever that thing is that you have to do where you feel some kind of pressure, it's not really real, it's not really happening yet. And then you can kind of spill over the beginning of the process of working as just like an extension of the preparation. So it doesn't count yet, you're just making a few scribbly marks in. And then before you know it, you've tricked yourself into painting a picture. So I'm going to have a slightly broken approach to this today, I think. I'm probably to and fro from it a little bit, but had a bit of fun setting up this little arrangement, and I've been thinking about this because I'm doing a little workshop for someone soon, and they wanted to focus on still life and stuff like that, and a lot of the time there's a sense that something is as it should be without really knowing why. I think the idea of saying, well, this means this, and this relates to this in this way, and this symbolises this, or any of those sorts of things, which you hope will be present in what you're making. You hope they'll have that level of content, that level of interest. But I don't think you can really think about it while you're doing it. You've just got to think about whether it feels true or not. And that's quite a nice place to be. So arranging these things, we're very much in a very narrow blue kind of area. So everything's going to relate to that. There'll be little accents within it that I might pull out. So I have a Simon Eels vase, which I treated myself to. So a raku pot. So yes, that's got this detail. So yeah, I can't remember exactly where he does experience days and things like that. But Simon Eels, EELES, ceramics.com. Oh, hang on. Yes. And he has, I can't remember where it was. It's resident somewhere, but anyway, he makes some really nice, interesting things. Right, so now I have one. Took Noel Edmonds' advice and asked the universe for it, and before I knew it, I was handing the man some money. He was giving me this ceramic pot. It's like Noel Edmonds and one of his helicopters. Right. Underpainting. I've got the red accent right. I think I might change the red accent, right? I don't know what for. No, actually, I like it. I like the red accent light, and I think I could put another red object in there. I don't know what it would be. Something orangey. Got a tractor. I don't really want another focal point though. I've got some more baubles, but I don't really want to do baubles. We're talking about the red specks, but I quite like the. So if I swap them out, let's have a look at this. Ooh.
Maybe open the arms up a little bit more.
Yeah, no, I'm just thinking of the colour. Oh, that's just so much more interesting, isn't it?
Quite nice as well, because you've got the red accent, so then it has the red lens.
Better, much better. Yeah, not the red. That's too steep. So it's going to be a slightly different angle for you, the viewer. It's obviously staple the camera to my head. And I'm thinking a lot about the negative spaces that are going on. Move the light a little bit. So these little fiddles. Is that playing? Yeah, it's pretty good. Up a bit. Good. Yeah, so I think some bright red underpainting. I've got this red left over from last week. I haven't changed out my spirits yet, so I'm going to go in with horrendous red. I might even use the last of the alizarin for the shadow areas. First things first. bring them forward a little bit more. Yeah, I think that's good. Okay, so you're going to have a slightly different view from me, but it's pretty close. And let's just draw around that. Some of those spaces. I've got an interesting sort of space down here, one up here. That's going to be the top of my thing, further down, something like that. I want my part to go in this area. My bath is going in this area. Shadow over there. Yeah, a bit like that. The right place. Yeah, that could further over. So the whole thing can move to the left a little bit. It's back right where it was before. Okay, it's going to start looking like nonsense to anyone else, but yeah, it's too much. Those bits and pieces, but overall, I think I'm finding my way in now. So this room. Get some extra darks in there. Okay, that's enough drawing for now. Yeah, it's a bit of fun.
Striking red.
Actually, that's kind of enough of that. That's there. I'm gonna that's the right place.
What's the story behind that play?
Actually, it was given to me. I don't know the whole story behind it. It's more of a an interesting object. But the interest to me is it always reminds me of the story of blue and how human beings and blue have an interesting relationship. So we don't get many blue objects, and something like that blue butterfly might seem like a pretty notable exception to that. There you go, there's some blue in nature, which you don't always see an awful lot of. But it turns out that blue isn't really there. That blue is an illusion caused by is it refraction or diffraction? No, refraction. Or at least sort of it's to do with the frequencies and how. Oh, hang on, what was it? Maybe it's just kind of a frequency resonance. So if you saw, if you see a rainbow in some oil in a puddle, okay, well, what's going on there? Are you familiar with that one? You know, like a petrol station.
Yes.
There's petrol in it. Or when you blow bubbles with soap.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, where's that rainbow come from? You ever think about that?
It's the refraction of light that's going through the oil or the substance.
It's light that's reflecting. So, because actually, why would a bubble create a rainbow? A pane of glass in your window doesn't create a rainbow. Even a goldfish bowl won't really create a rainbow. You will get little bits. You'll get especially halos around things and stuff. But what's happening is there's different frequencies of light refract at different angles, and when light goes through the what do you call it, meniscus, but the soapy film of a bubble, some of it will bounce off, but some of it will go through that top layer. But that layer has a thickness, and it's so thin that there'll be a difference between it will relate to the wavelength, the frequency of light. Maybe not exactly one, but some multiple. So you get either cancellation or reinforcement when it hits the second layer, and some of that bounces back. When that bounces back, if by the time it bounces back to the other side, it's at the same frequency as, say, blue light or green light or red light. Not the same frequency, but if it's at if the resonant peaks of the wavelength are in the same places, then it will double up. Just like if two waves come together, if the peaks are in the same place, it will make a bigger wave.
Yeah.
If they're opposite, then the water will be calm. Where the two, and so that's happening because some of the light's going, through that minuscule film, and some of it's bouncing off the back. So it's how a rainbow works as well. The light's bouncing off the back of the raindrop and back out again. And you see a double rainbow, and the second one is fainter because some of the light bounces around twice, and that comes out at a different angle. So it's all an illusion. There's this whole experience of colour and light, which is an illusion which our eyes have made for us. But it's one that's so common that nature uses it, makes it part of the experience, and I find that very fascinating. Anyway, sorry. I think I've got some tonal values. I quite like this pink going in. Not really very sure about that, so I'll make that a lost edge. I'm thinking about the outline of this vase now, and that's not helpful, so stop doing that. But I'll find that later on. But generally, I think that's kind of there. Yeah, that works. It's a little bit of light up there. Yeah, that's pretty good. Now I'm going to have to think about the feel of this, and while I do that, rather than committing to it or trying to know anything, I'll get something experimental. 4 o'clock now. I think this is a good idea to only really let me talk like this every 5 weeks or something.
People a break.
And also I very much welcome a better, more erudite explanation of the light frequency. So yes, so the blue of that butterfly isn't made by any kind of blue pigment. It's made by the way the light is reflected back to reinforce blue wavelengths of light. It's because of the intricate structure of the surface and how it reflects light, how it bounces around. And so should have a little cat moment. Well, that's what people come here for, isn't it? Cat. Throne. New close up. Really. Suitably imperious, not really joining in with the whole thing at all.
Well, not now, he wasn't it yet. I only found out recently, I can't remember what the word of it is, but it's there's a name for an Italian man standing around a hole while somebody's in there digging it.
I've heard this as well.
Which I think is amazing.
Yeah. I don't know if I heard it. It's an Italian thing, but no, that's one that's definitely going to be.
It's just I like the fact that it just happens so frequently. That
It's a thing, isn't it?
yeah.
It is. Yeah, it is sort of normal in maybe it's Italians in that. Yeah, there's cultures where it's normal if that sort of thing's happening. You can just stand there and watch, and no one thinks it's weird.
No, and the guys doing the groundworks, they're like perfectly acceptable with it. It's not like, why are you watching me, is it?
Yeah, of course that happens.
Yeah.
Of course it's going to draw a crowd. What do you expect?
Skin Flower Music
Oh, that's Matt. Hello, Matt.
by James and team. I've just joined live from the gym. Your soothing tones are a great balance to the self-loathing whilst picking things up and putting them down again.
Yeah. I think that is a really good tip, actually. If you are a gym goer and you want to get the most out of your work, you can think about what kind of environment you want to create for yourself. But really, self-loathing is key.
Yeah.
If you don't really hate yourself and everything about your body, you're not really going to do the work.
Well, no. Why would you be there in the first place?
No, I mean, I don't go to the gym because, I think,
Your
maybe I should go.
body to them.
Then I look in the mirror and I go, wow, it's working. That ain't broke.
Yeah.
Don't want to mess around with that. Who knows what might happen. So yeah, but not everyone's as fortunate as me. That.
I always find that the gym is also testing that gravity still works, much in the same way as juggling is.
But no, it does take years of dedication to reach my level of self-delusion. You can't do that overnight. It takes dedication.
Yeah.
Just find that just the right angle, adjust the lighting, go, hey, I look great, and carry that self-image with me all day, regardless of what might be stuck to my face. I think that's a great power to have. This is interesting. I'm still not 100% on this setup. I'm going to move that in. But it's arguing with the frame, so maybe it'll go a lot further inward. No, now it's just blending in with, or it would obscure the thing completely. Or I should have put it on the left. But looking at the picture, I can make a judgment here about whether that looks how I want it to look. And it doesn't. I don't like it. Oh, Graham, I don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, how disappointing. I'm going to try something. Now we're in the landscape again. So bring that right forward. No, it's still not happening. Put it back where it was. You know what? I think this might be a moment of extreme subtlety. I think if the edge of this vase here lands just in front of the frame of the sort of framed butterfly, then that can work. Forward again. Yeah. That's okay now, and then these things sort of connect together. Go back a bit again. Yeah, okay, that's near enough. Right, let's mix some colours. I'm going to make green glue, which is tailor-made. It's going to be the basis of all of the other greens and blues that emerge. A little bit of white, tiniest bit of mix of white, just so I can actually see the colour. Actually, a bit more than that, I think. Too blue. It's okay. Got blue version on the side. Bit more green. Okay. No, I can't judge that colour until it's got a lot more white in it. The light version here. That's a bit way greener than that. With this Taylor signing green, powerful as it is, isn't quite as dominant when it's next to it's mixed with an ultramarine blue. Oh. Goodness, this is pretty close. This is about the most potent version of the colour. Now, I'm going to do an interesting thing now. At least I think it's interesting. That means it almost certainly isn't interesting to them. Now I've heard myself say that.
That's a lot to live up to now.
Yeah, so I've got this sort of super intense version of this colour, which I've used two very clean and pure and super high chroma pigments to make. So I could have even made this even more intense if I'd used a Prussian blue instead of a ultramarine blue. But still, it's a very, very strong version of that colour. I'm going to make a weaker version of the same colour using different pigments. And when I say weaker version, I mean a lower chroma version, a version that isn't as bright. So really, all I'm talking about is hue angle. The hue angle is a interesting idea, because it's really, we're just scooting around the colour wheel. Now here I've got this sort of super clean green. If I use some yellow ochre instead, that's quite a dull yellow. Now I can shift my blue around the colour wheel until it's kind of level, even using a cadmium yellow. Well, so that's a bit of cadmium in there. Cadmium is quite strong. And really I'm balancing between the yellow and the blue, and it's going to be very much at the blue end. But I'm making just a much greyer version of this colour. That's going to mess up my. Do you reckon that's going to come out? Noise from that car. No, it'll be alright. Same noise. Be right. Okay, so I've got this greeny blue. Every time I see one of my videos, because this goes out to Facebook, because I know some people still use that cesspit of poison. But well, no, if you use it right, you can be quite in this place. Yeah, I can't avoid lots and lots of just a real swell of anger and disappointment. It's like, I always thought the Daily Mail knew how to give people this sort of delicious amount of annoyance, which was sort of seasoned with righteous indignation. They sort of home in on the unfair, like one of those terrible Hollywood films, which is just a revenge film. So first of all, something completely unjust has to happen to someone, and then they can go around bullets in people willy-nilly without it being some kind of horrible amoral acts or immoral acts. Because there's this bit at the beginning that means they all deserve it. Oh, they're a really bad criminal gang. They did this bad thing to his family or something. So now he gets to, and so there's this excuse for enjoying the horror that follows. And I think the Daily Mail, basically, that's its playbook. And but it's interesting where you get a completely. I don't think Facebook ever contained these biases. It never contained these ideas that it would work like that. People decided it would work like that, and it's revealed something really quite ugly about human beings, or at least first world ideologies and all that kind of thing.
I've told you this before, that I was watching a program on the guy that created or came up with the idea of the like button.
Right.
And they were originally thinking, well, this is amazing because it's just people showing appreciation.
Yeah.
And never did they think that it would be used as a metric. As how liked someone is determined by the amount of likes they actually get. So there was a big thing there. I think initially they were trying it in Canada, which was to remove the actual numbers of likes. So you'll still get likes from hundreds of people, but you won't know the exact number.
Yeah, yeah, it is. I mean, there's things we're discovering possibly for the first time about collective human behaviour and how to temper and the value of editorship and those sorts of ideas.
Stephen Fry did a really interesting kind of talk on the fact that computers were actually a way for introverts to be able to have their say.
Yes.
I found that really interesting. You'll get some which will be trolls, and you'll get some which will actually. Looks like there was a guy who has edited the most amount of pages on Wikipedia.
Right.
And the phenomenal, interesting chap. It's super knowledgeable.
But it's not something he's juggling along with his busy social life.
No, that's what he does. Yeah, it's massive introvert, and he finds joy in actually being able to give people as much knowledge as possible for free.
Yeah. Well, Wikipedia, I am I still pay my TV license. That's one of the few things I do support. It's not.
No, I support Wikipedia.
It isn't a charity, but that and ad blocks. The things you get to pay for voluntarily if you want to. I'm all on board with that. I think Wikipedia is fantastic, and we have to treasure it. It's so easy to sort of snag it off and go, so much of it's wrong. Not the important stuff. Find me a mathematical equation on there that's wrong. Find me a piece of. Find me something in thermodynamics on Wikipedia that's wrong. No, that's everyone having access to that. I don't care about whether it's got David Beckham's place of birth wrong or something like that. That's not important. It's
There was a brilliant post that I saw somebody do as well, which was this girl was a computer programmer, and she couldn't figure out a piece of code that she needed to get right, so she created an account and. She initially asked the question as to how do I do this piece of code, created a new account, went on and answered it incorrectly, and then there were about 8 or 9 people that corrected her. That sort was amazing.
That's high-end manipulation. That's great.
I heard Matt again saying, removing likes is possible in most platforms now as a way of protecting, managing people's anxiety and mental health on social media. Instagram has been doing it for a while.
There's a step forward. I've noticed that with Instagram with a few things.
I didn't think it was you could switch it on or off. I thought it was Instagram is now telling you that you're only getting liked rather than.
Well, it's I mean, I find it a really helpful metric, but that's because of the nature of what it is I do. I'm too close to this stuff to know whether it's any good or not. Spoiler, it isn't. But, it's better to find out at the end.
Yeah.
And go, oh, look, more rubbish.
That was a wasted 2 hours, wasn't it?
Yeah. If only I'd known in advance. But no, it is a really interesting thing to sort of find out which things resonate with people and which don't. But if you're comparing yourself to other people and other people's likes and all that kind of thing, which I guess in lots of situations it would be easy to do, easy trap to fall into, that could be really damaging.
Well, it's the competition aspect, isn't it? How liked are you in comparison to somebody else, and does only having 5 likes on a post when you really enjoyed what you were doing, then make what you were doing less important or less enjoyable?
No, exactly. That's it doesn't change very much. Okay, talking about those colours earlier, this colour is a light version of this green, but it's got some of this other green in it, and the hue angle of the green hasn't changed whether I go for high chrome or low chrome, and that's a bit of fun to muck about with. I've got a bit of core colour here that I'm going to put on thinly, or in a shallow layer, if you like. I'm not going to add thinners to it. I'm not going to, not going to add oil to it or anything like that. But I'm going to look at some of these negative shapes to begin with, and sort of start from the middle and work out. And then, when I see little subtleties and changes, I can move back into these other colours should it be necessary. So let's start here. I think that whole thing's going to move down. Just working from the inside out. I'm trying to forget what it is I'm looking at. It's that shape. Is that about right? I think it's about right. Right. Shape there, and then it's that shape. Let's get, yeah. Right, hang on. Oh, I've gone right off. That should have been over there somewhere. What's this here? I've got into small shapes too soon. That's up with that. Should be doing that right. Mm-hmm. So this, I'm starting to see changes as I sort of look across this this surface. As I move over here, it's definitely sort of a bit paler and yellower, but there isn't enough paint on the surface to disturb from that, or to. It's not like there's no turning back. I can work into this surface as I go along. And it's picking up a little bit of that pink as it goes through. Maybe it's just showing through the gaps. It's all over, isn't it? Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Really, really vague at this stage. Over here somewhere. Use this for the background. This is going to change a few things. Yes. Something over there. Do a bit of measuring. So, in the ballpark. At the centre of that. It's going to be mark right in. So keep a bit of symmetry going. Yeah. So pretty very little paint on the surface, but already open. So I've done this, I might go into a bit of a shadow colour. And I'm going to be doing a bit of stopping and starting. It's not going to be how much work I can put into this, it's going to be putting the right work into it to get what I need doing done. It's nearly a sentence, wasn't it?
I see that. I quite like that.
So I want to be quite selective about what details I apply to this, and yeah, whether they're really necessary. But get rid of this dull blue, and pop a little bit of this with it to help the shadow colour. That will make it a bit more perfect. It's going to sleep. See how well this works. So I can put this in a few places where it seems important, like there.
What's the determination of an important shadow?
This is a good question. It's very tricky to pin this down. There's shadow in this instance, which I'm using as a compositional tool. The shadows become things, so they're objects in their own right, and that's very useful compositionally. But shadows also give us very useful information about light source or sources, and that gives our visual cortex, the seeing bit of our brain, the information it needs to infer what light there is and where it's coming from, and therefore what shapes things are and how those how those shapes can be sort of experienced. If you're seeing something painted and experience it three-dimensionally, then that's happening inside your head, because there is no three-dimensional. you draw a simple line drawing of a cube, your brain will go, look, it's a cube. And it can imagine that cube and how that cube works and the rules behind that cube and how it operates, in space. There is no cube. It's just the idea of a cube. Enough of that has been presented. And I find that really interesting. That's some noting.
Well, because we have quite a lot of these sort of conversations regarding sort of colours that aren't there, and the way that our brain, like you just described with a cube, and it's not a cube, it's a two-dimensional drawing, but our brain is making it a cube. So how much
the idea of a cube exists, and if one person can share that. This is where it's like a visual word. It's not really any longer. So when you talk about a visual language, there's accepted ways of sort of explaining, an arrangement of things, if you like, as sort of a.
So then it's quite a big part of becoming an artist, working out how to create illusion.
Yeah, well, you have to understand, it's not so much about that exactly. It's that if you're a human being with sight, your brain's figured out how to make sense of what happens when it opens its eyes. If you fall asleep on a train, you open your eyes and you're seeing something you've never seen before. You have to be able to make sense of that. And you, the thinking part of you, the conscious part of you, if there is such a thing, doesn't know how to do that. There's no clue at all. Utterly ill-equipped. The bit of your brain that doesn't know how to do that, it's a bit like, there's a bit of your brain that knows how to, feel pain or release adrenaline. You can't do that. Go on, release some adrenaline. Do it now. It's not up to you. And so similarly, what we see isn't up to us, but there's mechanisms by which it happens. And there's prompts that the eye will see. There's things that it's well known the eye can't make sense of, and we can use those to make optical illusions. We can use them to tell the brain lies because we know it can't process it.
Is that like the staircase that?
The Escher staircase, yeah. The impossible triangle.
Which one's the impossible triangle?
It's like three prismatic squares, three square profile lengths of timber, and each one is joined 90-degree angle, and three 90-degree angles produce. And you can make one, but you can only see it from one place. But when you see it, and if you saw it just through a pinhole, you wouldn't be able to know which corner was the lie.
Right.
But you'd be able to figure out one of them is a lie. Not all of those three corners would be connected. And then if you walked around it, you go, oh look, it's that one. Possibly even all of them. You could just prop up, put on a stand, three completely separate freestanding objects that, from a particular point of view, made this triangle. Your brain would go, that looks like it's joined together. That looks like it's joined together. That looks like it's joined together. And it would do that 3 times. And then it would figure out that something was wrong. But it wasn't wrong in saying that looks like it's joined together. But that's not the same thing as it actually is. So if I can do a painting and someone goes, that looks like a circular object. That looks like it's reflecting light. Doesn't mean it is, because it's paint. Fooled you. But to understand how those experiences are prompted inside the mind, it's the same thing with a writer. If they want to tell a story, they have to understand what it is that would seem important to someone.
Let's it comes into a good point here. Just put it's part of the primitive brain, auto-programmed for survival.
Yeah,
but also really easy to trick.
Yeah, it is, and it's fun to trick it. And if there's very little I enjoy more than being superior to other people. I fooled you. which obviously must be linked to some kind of deep personal problem.
Yeah. That's slightly longer than the
But
2 hour session we had.
Let's not kid ourselves, but I know there's still this thing of it. It's fun to be. I think it's the reason people take up magic, like being a magician. That's a fairly clear sign to me of someone who needs to get some control back, someone who needs to have some kind of feeling of being in charge of their environment. Where probably someone who is quite clever and never got any benefit from it, which is most people. Most people are clever at something and no one cares. It's a bit cruel, but don't let that affect you so much that you become a magician. It's just something a bit odd about that, isn't it? Because that is someone just stood on a stage lying to you. And if they can lie to you in a way that's funny or entertaining, and give you that experience of wonder and stuff like that, that's one thing. But if they start calling themselves the great something, and to have a, requiring adulation, that's the red flag.
Mm-hmm.
We have to tell you you're great now because you knew how to build this machine which has got a mirror on it, but then collapses it or something, and that's what's happening. It's some silly thing that's doing that work, and for that person to be prancing around waving their arms around is a bit silly. I'm always reminded slightly of. In fact, I was thinking this earlier today. There was Peter Kay's Phoenix Nights, and they do have the audition bits,
mm-hmm.
which and there was this guy, and he was just a slightly creepy looking guy, and he'd just bought like a little toy mechanical gorilla that does the Macarena, and he'd just be stood next to it. So, that was it, like the people who repost videos nodding, it's basically that. And I thought that today there was, and it was the market. I know, was it yesterday? The Christmas market was on, and there's a guy who comes along and he's got this machine. You turn a handle and it plays tunes, and I thought, you're kind of not necessary. We don't really need you. You could be replaced with a sign that says "Turn this handle."
Make it more interactive. So.
It's his job to own it and put on a funny hat and turn up, but it's there's and so that's
I pity the people that were next to him
right
all day having that.
He's got his Christmas things out, so.
I'd say, go back to magicians. I do actually have quite an admiration for street magicians, because they have gift of the gab as well as not taking themselves too seriously.
You are what I would call at risk
of what?
Of becoming a magician if you're not careful.
Not a chance.
You already look a bit like a magician, Graham.
Thank you very much.
And you learn to juggle.
Well,
which is sort of like a gateway drug, isn't it?
But no, I mean, I guess with the
it could be worse. You could have bought a unicycle.
Yeah. No, I've never. I've tried unicycling.
I'm being me. It's Matt unicycle, which is red nose, big orange wig. It's not far off, is it? Getting you and all your mates into a tiny car.
The doors fall off.
Yeah.
But no, it's just something when I was yeah, part of that whole kind of juggling community that the when you did go to performances, the street magicians were actually really good fun.
No, I love them.
And what's amazing is as well is seeing the kind of the younger kids just sort of balk in amazement at what he's doing.
Well, this is the point. I think for me, if I were to do magic, and I could absolutely understand the appeal, I'd like it to be like that machine.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you could have a bloke stood next to it who's grown a funny moustache and has worn a funny hat and goes, "Oh, look at me, aren't I kooky and interesting?" No, it's nothing interesting about you. You stood next to an interesting machine. That's all that's happened. I'd like it so that, you know, like a push this button sort of thing. So I'm long gone. Much like the artwork. You put it on the walls and then, you know, that's it. I'm not here anymore. Don't have to think about it.
That said, I can't juggle though, and I definitely don't fit into a tiny car.
No, see, that would be great. It's the same height as you.
Oh, okay, amazing.
Yeah, so, yeah, getting the two of you into a Fiat 500.
Yeah.
The back seat, I'm driving. So try and tuck your knees up.
I had a Citroen C1 for a while.
Right.
I had to, yeah.
Did you have to have one big seat in it?
Yeah. Basically, yeah, that seat would never go back far enough. Great to catch up. See you soon. Thanks, Matt. Appreciate it. We have, we're about 8:05. Are you happy to?
Yeah. I'm gonna have a little break now.
Okay.
I need to have a think about stuff and change things inside that. Oh, that's sort of odd and all over the place. But I like it. I like it blurry and vague. But I can start to see it appearing. It's interesting how there's no. I've got this.
The frame looks really good.
But that will probably. It won't be the most detailed part. It's still a bit vague. But I've got a few hard edges because I think I kind of needed them. The plot I'm going to do differently. I might build up a bit of extra texture. Or maybe not, I don't know. Some of the glasses are going to be fun.
That's a bit of reflection going on.
Yeah, so I'm going to be revisiting that green colour I mixed and making some little variations on it, some paler bits and all that kind of stuff. So yeah,
Brilliant.
it's pretty fun.
15 minutes or so, and we shall be live. Let's just find the time lapse.
Oh, hang on, before you do, the cat's now modelling his other chair.
Yeah.
If anyone was wondering why I have two chairs, but they're both his.
Right.
See you, bye.
Hello.
Back again.
Oh, you need to play with the camera again.
Right, blah, blah, blah. Do it about.
Yeah. Cat cam.
Working it. Got to get your priorities right.
Hmm.
And people come to see. Hmm. So yeah, really, really simple kind of setup here. It's color wise, but it's doing most of the work to sort of set that scene, which gives me a lot of opportunity to play around with the subtleties within it. Hmm. Well, the brushes. The big brushes. I think it might be time for some new smaller ones. Break the box. Okay. There. Now, so I need them. So I still haven't finished any particular exact drawing for any of this. I will do. Break that edge there. So I guess I'll do a bit more mixing. I'm going to need a sort of this slightly warm, slightly yellowy grey. This grey. Mix that up. It's going to give me a green. Actually, that's pretty good though. Yeah, small range of colours for this pot. Yeah. Thank you. There we go. Yeah, that's gonna. You know, there's a nice subtle yellow, some yellow quite shouty, like that. Work for a light, somewhere between that. Grey colour. Just below that. It's a tricky one. It's a bit bluer. So I'm going to start with the the underneath colours. Let's put that blue in first. Work our way out. Put that in there. We'll go to this creamy colour. I still haven't got any thinners or anything. So to go out, that's going to be a bit more. So I haven't got the warm one yet. Maybe I will do that now. Maybe I'll better version. So around here. What's that going to do? Yeah, big thing. And six like that. Creamy, greeny kind of thing. Yes.
So what do you focus on when you're painting something which is spherical and shiny?
That
could be two separate questions.
I'm trying to avoid outlines first of all.
Oh, that's interesting, right?
Because that can be quite unhelpful. Yeah. So I'm looking at shapes, and I'm looking at tonal movements. So as this sort of, okay, you can see this now. There's shapes and there's ways that the tones move as they move around. So there's a bit of dark in here. It's this greeniness is coming out, and it sort of blurs in. So now I've got a bit of paint in there. I can start to put. So the other thing is, it's called lots of different things. You think that sculptural shading, bracelet shading, sometimes is a thing. So if you've got you've got something like a sleeve, you can imagine lots of cross sections of that sleeve. That's off. What's doing there? Very close. Yeah, so you can kind of draw a series of those cross sections. So this, it's going to be ellipses built into this bowl that are going to describe its position in space and its orientation. I could put a few in at the moment, and they're going to have this symmetry. So I've got this central line down the middle. Okay, whatever shape you see on one side, you can see on the other. And as long as they're consistent. So I can put a few of those, just a few little subtle little marks going about this, and it will give me the information I need. Even if it's not sort of identifiable to the viewer, it might be useful to me to understand what it is I'm looking at the moment. It's interesting. I think I've made a yeah, okay. Right. Get too caught up in it. I've got a few of these dark things as sort of a placeholder. put some more of them in later on. If I go to the very dark blacks, I could probably take a punt about that being about there. So only now am I prepared to commit in any way. To the placement of these things. Time to get another brush. And get some of this blue paler brush. Add some laser into it. I can, so it's not, no, it still needs to be redder than that even. Maybe a bit paler. Let's see. Okay, and a bit lighter again. I can start to sort of define the sides of this vase. Okay, soft edge to that. Okay, yeah. That soft edge breaks into the shape at the top of this mouth of this vase. See that red showing through. It's quite nice. What have I got here? Too many things going on at once, so I'm going to have to put some of that out. And I've got this pink coming in from one side. That's going to give me this edge of that shadow. So let's travel across. That's going to give our little mammal brains some clues about that secondary light source. What that's doing.
Is it the red light source?
Yeah. Yeah, be a bit. Yeah. Lights that come out of that. Okay. Okay. That's that. Sort of fade that out into what I've already done. I need colour for that whole thing on this side over here as well. A little bit pink. It's not at all. That's giving me a line there, that's useful. So to blend it again. What's going on? These lights turn around. There we go. Right. Oh. Yeah. Yeah, still the same brush. I'm going to go back to the pot. I'm going to put some of these lighter yellowy colours on it. Just to the places where I think it goes, like around here. Bit in there. Right. It's too much. Get back to the darks. Still not popular, but that's good. Good. Okay, if we get really caught up with something like the neck all this fast, I'm going to save that for a smaller brush. Not worry about it too much now. One thing I didn't do as well, so I didn't get all the way to the lights. This pot, which I'm in here. Again, I've already kind of got some of these ellipse shapes, which would be useful to me. Right.
Why is it when you're painting something, do you then go, actually, I'm going to switch back to this part? Is it because you feel you focus too much on a particular item and therefore can't see it anymore?
There's a bit of that. There's different elements to the painting that need to help each other. Sometimes you can go too far with just trying to sort out one of them and neglect other ones. So, so actually something, getting these lights on will give a context to everything else, which it kind of needs at this point. So then once these lights go on, I can start to make some better decisions about what's where. I mean, I put this little zigzag thing in the wrong place. That needs to go further over. What does it? Okay, this is why I have to be careful. Yeah. Well, here, go all the way right to lights. and pay attention to this, the ellipses or the shapes I've already drawn. Okay, I'll go back to this group. Okay, if I take a step back, that's sort of doing the job. That's telling my eye what I needed to see. I'm going to clean my brush now.
It's the sort of slightly sort of semicircular or circular lines on it, which then give it so much kind of movement to trick your brain into going, that's a cylindrical object, isn't it?
And here, so now I'm confident enough that I can put in some hard lines underneath, and I can go with that strong blue and say that's the blue I'm going to leave there. Yeah, that's what's happening with that. That's okay. Bit this. Oh. Oh, here we go. Oh, like that. Yeah, it's going to go into a different colour. Yes, the foreground. Already different bits of this ground are slightly changing up. Okay. And I hadn't really finished with the drawing and that kind of thing, but it's pretty close now. So maybe I'll be able to leave that. I think I'm going to have to go back in with some dark. So. Oh, okay. If I blow my vision slightly, then I realise I'm overthinking it. Okay, other things I can do. I've got this, actually, this dark greenish colour here. It's also, strangely, I'll turn up a bit with this other green. It's behind the scenes of these glasses, so. There else. Better. Yeah, there's a disagreement here as well between where this lens wants to be. It's its shadow, it's fine. This whole thing is too far up. There we go. Now, just come back to this blue here. It's not convenient. I did move some things around, so it's not going to be guaranteed in exactly the right place, but With details like that are probably going to be quite important. Go to the blue again. Yeah. That's going to be a bluish shadow. Where else is it a bluish shadow?
So you say that when you're doing portraits and people wear glasses, that you find them a really good reference point because the glasses.
Oh yeah, it's
Is that the same when you're doing them as a still life?
well, there is a structure to them, so I would spot straight away if the lenses don't look like they're from the same glasses.
Mm-hmm.
They should look like within this space that it's the same thing repeated,
Right.
or at least mirrored.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, that's an easy judgment to make. And it's not something you're going to find out at the end when you really look and you go, oh, look, I put the glasses up. You can get that right at the beginning. You can get it wrong right at the beginning and go, that's the thing to fix. And it's interesting. Okay.
Josie's popped up. Hello, Ben mate never. That's a different sort of setup. Yes, there's no humans involved today except for James.
And that's debatable. Okay. That's pretty straight. Okay. Finally some things. Now. See, this is where, I suppose it's partly what I'm good at in a way. It's this, I can be quite accurate. At times, I don't know, maybe that's not true. Different step. Really, you think that about yourself? We're all watching this go, move that, that's in the wrong place.
So again, with glasses in this sort of situation, would you do sort of say get one lens the way that you wanted to look at it and then mirror it, or would you do them both at the same time to try and?
I'm looking at them together, but I'm also looking at other things. So, for example, I've got where the arms join on. I've got this little hinge. It's here, right? That's going to line up with where this joins on, with this arm here, which is going to be about there. That's going to give me a line going through. It should have the same amount of glasses above and below it. And in a sense, it's got some quite interesting pictures. So I'm putting some of these darks in. I don't want to be too fiddly about it, but that's going to go over that. Yeah, at a certain point I want to be a little bit vague. I want to leave something to the imagination. So those browns are going to be a good backup for the colours that appear on top. Try a few now. So let's put some red cadmium yellow in there, see what that does. Yeah, it's greener. Green than that. Or a tiny bit of the green. Tiny bit. Actually, I can't put all of the detail in there. There's tons of it. There's too much. So I'm going to have to be resourceful. That's not the right. And hint at the. And a lot of the time with glasses, there's lots of transparent bits. There's lots of bits you don't even see. And especially with fine lenses and that kind of thing. But I'm just putting a few of these bits at the beginning. And I might I'm almost overdrawing it, overpainting it, but with the knowledge that I can destroy some of these marks later on. Which is, yeah, nice to know. With browns and things underneath, and then the other stuff will catch up later. I'll go to the small brush here. I keep dipping this one. I'm slightly trying to avoid the I'm looking around the camera rather than just keeping my head in position. Right. That's bad. What was it? No, it's okay. Needs to get a bit thicker. Down there. Get this in here. Oh, we've got those other browns in. Okay, oh yeah, it's going to be going into a finer brush. So let's jump straight ahead to some highlights here. Yellow there. Let's pop a few bits of those in, see what they do. There's one. Some of them are sort of a bit more golden. Okay, make a slightly more golden version of this. It's still quite light. Bits like that. There we go. What's that do? Doesn't know. No, then it all goes greener. So, but they are appearing. So try and keep an eye on the extraction and another eye on whether the combination of these abstract observations are magicking into existence this, this appearance of some glasses. Still giving a bit of room back. Bit back around here as well. Yeah, so they've explained to me where they are. Okay, I'm going to go into another brush now. This time, I've got this deep red under here. I'm really going full on with the colour now. I've got this sort of swoop to it. Here as well. Okay, that's on. Two interesting things are happening. One, is that this has got this highlight colour behind it. Okay, and the other one has got this dark colour behind it. Look at that. Yeah, I've realised that's completely in the wrong place. But does it look right? Does it look like those glasses? I think it probably does. Put a few extra little dots there. Dots over here. That blend into the circles a bit. Okay, that's my blue background colour. And that's up here. Yeah, I'm getting a bit carried away with this one, aren't I?
But they look fantastic though.
Yes, that's mostly achieved by forgetting what glasses look like. You're just paying attention. There are some fundamental errors of this that I'm very aware of, but then the question arises, is it a problem? Do I need to do something about it? Is it getting in the way of what this is trying to say? The problem is probably that this lens would be bigger than this one, but does it? That shadow's in the wrong place.
Which shadow?
It's the arm, but it's so subtle. So that would be straighter and then come through here and then arrive around here somewhere. But anyway, that doesn't matter. Now I've got this blue. I'm going to mix a red. It's got this blue in it. Let's see if that works. It does. And that's going to give me this reflection. It's a combination of these two colours. It's especially going to be noticeable up here. It's sort of going to fade out as it goes down. It's darker red right at the bottom, which is back to this one, I think. So I can do it. Well, this was some really deliberate marksman. Ow.
So we might run over a little bit on this one because we're at 2 or 3 minutes too.
Okay.
Enjoying watching where this one's going.
Yeah, it's been quite fun so far. Again, I think I've allowed myself to slow down a bit, which is, yeah, it's not that usual. Okay, well, I've got this green. It also goes up here, so there's this going to be, and it relates to the vase. It's going to go in here.
What for you? Like, 'cause you talk about this quite a lot each week. Is like, oh, this is fun. I'm enjoying this, or whatever. What constitutes you having fun when you're painting?
I think it's when I'm talking to it and
And it responds?
Yeah, there's a discovery about making an image appear, which is, it is rewarding. But it's also, I don't know. It's hard to put it into words without sounding really pretentious. But yes, it's like having a chat with the universe. There's and I mean that in a very humble way. These sort of, for all our apprehension, we are these sort of clumsy little mammals wandering around the surface of this rock, and somewhere in there are little clues as to the fact that we are part of something greater that we can never know, because we're too small and distant from it all, but which is nonetheless there, and at least open to our inquiries, if not understandable. And one sort of path of human endeavour emerges through picture making, and always has. It's a part of our heritage as human beings, really, that we make pictures. It's a thing that we do, and the reason we make pictures is for various reasons. But the fundamental thing of making pictures isn't attached to any of those end results, which might be, designing something or communicating something, or it's just that the act of it itself is an affirmation of the nature of the experience available to us. It could be there's a whole other layer to the universe that we could never know. In fact, it's something that science supports pretty well. And it's very interesting. People going, oh, now we finally sort of understand quantum physics. And you think, well, we don't understand quantum physics. We know it's there. We understand it in the sense that some people can do the maths that makes accurate predictions. But that's not the same thing as understanding. Understanding it would require some ancestors who had been smaller than atoms. We can observe effects, but only remotely, so second hand. No one can go, well, let's zoom in closer to the atom and have a look at what's going on, because that's not how things work down there. So we can discover this unknown section of the universe that exists, but it doesn't tell us anything that relates to our direct experience. Our direct experience is tied in intrinsically with this three-dimensional macro version of the universe that we exist in, and you can talk to that. That's my point. You can have a chat with that. You go, hey, what's going on here? What am I experiencing? You can't. If you're doing quantum physics, what you're experiencing is sat in a chair while a computer processes some information from a particle collider. Now, you can experience doing the maths in your head or imagining things and having fantastic, interesting ideas and all that stuff. But that isn't what's happening, in terms of, that's the experience you're having. It's going, what if this, and how do we test it? What experiments can we do? And that's interesting and exciting. And it's interesting and exciting in a way that exists without a giant tube in Switzerland. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
And that is something that everybody can access. That idea of, the the world of ideas, the world of listening to what nature has to tell us through our own senses. Now, like I said, it sounds really pretentious. And it's the simplest thing. It's the simplest thing that everybody has, but we so easily become closed off to it. So it's a way of just opening those doors. It's, everybody's sort of, people want to make everything sort of mystical and deep, and it isn't. It's the simplest thing in the world. It's totally normal. Every child understands it. Picasso said every child is an artist, and the trick is to remain an artist as you grow up. And real life gets in the way of it. We've got stuff to do. We've got completely different measures of, you ask a child, in a sandpit, if they think they're succeeding, and they'll look at you like you're mad, and they'll have a point. I think we can improve on the sandpit, but we can't improve on the way of being in it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's, So I guess that's what I'm trying to do. Is is to be in that place where that conversation is happening. And it can be as simple as playing with sand and go, oh look, it does this. Oh look, it feels like this between my fingers. That's more real than all this sort of high knowledge that, impressive as it may be, it doesn't change anything. And some of these dark producing. Okay, I'm into brush mixes now, pretty much. What else is slightly darker? Original there. Yeah, how pretentious did that sound? Very, wasn't it?
Are you on a scale of 1 to 10, or?
Yeah. I'm not
No,
sure.
it didn't. It's it's the way that you paint. It's the way that you see the world, and to describe it is a really difficult thing. And actually, to call it pretentious is.
Well, I think
particularly if I was to say, "Oh yeah, that's pretentious," it's like, no, it's the way that you see it.
But the words have become pretentious. I think that might be one of the better jobs I've done of explaining. I do descend into analogy and sort of being a bit cryptic rather quickly if I'm not careful.
But it's not like you're explaining 1 + 1 = 2. You're explaining a feeling, a way that things get created.
But the act of doing it just sounds like. I mean, the thing is that there is so much pretentiousness, and especially around art, and it is a real thing, and it is awful. There's a lot of people making things that are terrible. don't have very much merit, and I may well be one of them at any particular moment. But of course, there's this whole game of justifying it afterwards, and so everyone's sick of it. Everyone's sick of having something terrible paraded in front of them, because there's no, you know, it's one of those things you've got to do it, and then you find out later if it was terrible, and it might have been, and that isn't a good reason not to do it. But if you try to sell it to people in the sense that, you know, I mean, sell in the sense that you're trying to go, yeah, like, you have to agree that this was a good idea or whatever, then you have an awful lot of nonsense paraded around, and it's I think that when people, you know, ask about things like art school and stuff like that, I had a very nice thing the other day that a lot of people going, "Oh, I'm self-taught," and you know, better stop saying that, because everybody's self-taught. But the advantage you have is that if everybody can be shown, and everybody was shown. You know, you just to see something is possible means you've been shown it. And once you've been shown that this painting can exist, in a sense, you know, you can go away and figure out a way of you doing that painting. The good thing about art school, if it works, is that you get shown more. But even then, actually, I don't think you do shown very much. What was my point? My point was, I did have a point. No, I'm concentrating too hard now. I can't remember what it was. Just getting some of these darks in, and then that will be done. Yeah, there's one little corner. Go back to some of these browns. Let's put some of this dust on the top that was so kindly left me by the dough repairs. Okay, some of these darks, just a few more. Don't want to do loads of details on this butterfly. And last bits. Let's get a whole load of this light that's left over. Let's mix it with. Let's put some of that to the foreground. Lift it up a little bit. Yeah, it's happening, isn't it? Back out. This is where I could use a little bit of oil. Yes. That too. Okay. So yeah, it's sort of piled in at the end, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all kind of like come together extremely quickly towards the end.
Yeah, that's all about preparation. You can see harden up some of these edges, including right there. Hey, I've nearly mixed enough paint. Red breaking through again. What else? Highlights. There. There. Double clean that. You seem to have done anything. Very careful there. Okay, what else have I got? Let's do a highlight with this pink. A bit together now. I'm going to see it anywhere else. No. I do it. Probably pretty much do it. I think the last thing he needs is some bright turquoise. Butterfly. Two flashes of very bright green. As it is green, not blue, so. Anything else with the bars? A little bit on the bars. Okay. To that. I'm overthinking it. Let's feel creamy lights. Yeah, I'm quite pleased with the raccoonness I've got with the bars. not really happy with the frame. But maybe I'll revisit that at some point. I want to be really fussy. We could do some antennae. You enjoy how I pluralised that?
Very good.
No, that didn't work. There. There. Sorry. Okay. Yeah, couple of tiny little fiddles, just with some of the darks, just where they need it, right behind here. Never quite happy with that. Let's get that in. That'll do it. A bit of a dark edge along there. Let's straighten that up. Just on the front of that to get that corner in. Ooh. Yeah, it makes a difference, doesn't it?
Just gives it a bit more punch to it, doesn't it? For something which is actually really solid, so, and right angles, and
yeah. That's fine. Sign it in red.
that makes sense because of the glasses, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to put all of these in so I can't fiddle with it. Well, thank you for joining. We'll do a little scan around it in a second. That's an awful brush. It's been that. I've got a small brush somewhere. Same one again. Hey. Okay, let's have a little.
Those glasses are lush.
Very little to it. Yeah. Where I am, can't really zoom in. Yeah. This butterfly. It's my raccoon pot, which looks fairly symmetrical. There. Yeah, that's the original over there. So you can see a bit more of the colours I'm seeing. I think it's slightly better with the so we're going to try and upgrade cameras at some point. Yeah, so it was nice to do a little still life again.
Mm.
And we see whether. So expect next week to feature quite a bit of this green.
Got a bit to use up a bit.
I think I might do some. Just feel like I have to do some more green stuff. Yeah. But no, it's been interesting seeing how these colours develop as well. There's because there's an order. A lot emerged from these greens. This lighter green, which I used for the whole thing, and then there's these little satellites that pop up off them, and other sort of separate families of like the reds and these sort of dull greens, these browny greens, which had to relate together in order to sort of make sense. So I quite like that. I quite like the way it hangs together as a picture.
I do like the pop of colour from the glasses. Really, like when you originally had the just the black glasses or goggles that were there. I can't remember what they were, but
Yeah.
it just didn't set the painting off, or it didn't set the image.
I have spotted something. So, yeah. It's just the back edge of this. That's so much better. That's all it needed. Not going to fiddle with it anymore. It's fine. It's fine. Leave it alone. Leave it alone, Graham.
Yeah, yeah, all my fault. Sorry.
Yes. There it is. Hello. Straight view. No one could it. Thanks very much for joining and coming along and viewing, and I hope that's been interesting to you. And yeah, it's been fun to do. And I think there's I didn't do anything with the glass on the case, but it's so subtle. It'd be very hard to.
No, I don't think it needs it.
No. And again, I mean, if I were to do that, I would have just done the thing in the case, but with all the reflections, which might be a painting I do. I have been doing some individual little pictures of things from my curiosity cabinet. So, and it turns out they're coming up pretty much life size. So here's a water pistol, and this is my just slightly larger. That's my pink iguanodon, and a prism, and a 50p piece. I don't think I've finished this. I need to do a bit more to it. The 50p isn't right yet. There we go. So yeah, so I think I might do that butterfly on its own at some point. I think that'd be interesting.
Would you do that at an angle or straight on, or
Probably at an angle, probably with making an awful lot of the reflections in the glass. So
so like sort of changing the light?
I'd have something outside that you find in the reflection.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
Sort of like a, don't they call them Easter egg or something in film world?
I guess so, yeah. Yes, I like to put those little bits and pieces into things, so it's a bit of fun. But yeah, thanks for coming, joining in.